So, India's forests, they're just teeming with life, right? But here's the thing, they're also in some pretty serious trouble. In this explainer, we're going to explore that delicate dance between humanity and nature and look at two very different ideas about how to save it. Let's start with something truly beautiful. This is a folk song from the Lepcha community. And it's so much more than just pretty words, isn't it? It captures this really profound, ancient truth, this harmonious connection between people and the world around them, finding a music in absolutely everything.
And that deep connection, well, it's really at the heart of what we now call biodiversity. It's a huge concept, and honestly, it's fundamental to understanding our planet. So let's break it down a little.
Now, what's really key here is that word integrated. See, biodiversity isn't just a long list of all the different species. No way. It's a complex, living web where every single part, from the tiniest microorganism to a massive blue whale, is connected. They all depend on each other.
And here's the crucial part for us. We're not separate from this web. We're just one thread in it. And our very survival, I mean, literally the air we breathe, the water we drink, the food we eat, it all depends on the health of this entire incredibly complex system.
So, with that big picture in mind, let's kind of zoom our focus in on India. It is, without a doubt, one of the world's richest treasures when it comes to biodiversity. But that treasure, well, it's facing some pretty unprecedented threats. So, why is conservation so incredibly important? It's not just about saving cute animals. It's about maintaining the very systems that keep us all alive. It's about keeping our crops strong, our fisheries from collapsing. When you get right down to it, it's about self-preservation. As people started seeing wildlife numbers dropping fast, a movement started to build. All through the 60s and 70s, conservationists were pushing for real action. And all that pressure finally led to a landmark moment. The Indian Wildlife Protection Act of 1972, a total game changer. And to really get a sense of the urgency behind that act, let's look at the dramatic story of one of India's most iconic animals, a true king of the forest ecosystem, the tiger. So picture this. At the start of the 20th century, India's forests were thriving, and so were the tigers. We're talking an estimated 55,000 of these incredible predators roaming the subcontinent, a healthy population in a healthy home. But then, look at this. By 1973, that number had completely crashed to just over 1,800. That's a catastrophic drop. Over 95% gone in just a few decades. The species was pushed right to the absolute brink of extinction. So what on earth happened? Well, it was a perfect storm. You had rampant poaching for their skins and bones. At the same time, their habitats were shrinking, the animals they hunted for food were disappearing, and the human population was expanding right into their territory. They were being squeezed from every side. The response was Project Tiger. Launched in '73, this was a massive deal. And it wasn't just about saving one animal. The whole idea was that if you save the apex predator, you have to save its entire ecosystem. Saving the tiger meant saving the forest. Now, this big, official, government-led approach is a huge part of the story. But you know what? It's not the only one. There's another, incredibly powerful conservation force that has been at work for centuries, the people themselves. So let's take a quick look at how the government officially manages forests. They're broken down into these three main types. Now, the reserved and protected forests are pretty much under government control. But see that third category, unclassed? That's where things start to get interesting, because that's where communities start to have a say. And this slide just lays it out perfectly. You've got these two parallel stories of conservation in India. On one side, the official top-down approach, and on the other, these powerful grassroots movements that are driven entirely by local communities. For a stunning example of this, just look at what happened in Alwar, in Rajasthan. 5 villages just took matters into their own hands. They declared a huge patch of forest as their own sanctuary, with their own rules against hunting, and flat out rejected any government involvement. This is conservation by the people, for the people. And this idea of community protection goes way back. It's rooted in ancient traditions like sacred groves. These are pristine forests left totally untouched for centuries because they're seen as the home of gods and goddesses. So the conservation isn't based on laws, it's based on deep spiritual belief. So the real insight here, the big takeaway, is that neither of these paths is enough on its own. The future of effective conservation seems to lie right at the intersection of the two, where official government policy meets the wisdom of the local community.
So how does that work in the real world? Well, one model is called joint forest management. It's basically a formal attempt to build that bridge. It empowers local communities to manage and restore forests, and in return, they get a share of the benefits, like timber or other products. It's a true partnership.
And the lesson from all of this is crystal clear. For conservation to actually work, you can't just impose it from the outside. Local communities absolutely have to be at the center of it all. The best strategies are the ones that are good for people, good for the environment, and good for the economy. You know, this isn't a new idea. This ancient wisdom from Gautama Buddha captures it so beautifully. That selfless, life-giving quality of nature. It's such a powerful reminder that our relationship with the environment should be about stewardship, not just taking what we want. Which leaves us with a final, really vital question. We've seen that the community is key, but what does it actually mean to put people at the center of conservation? How do we make sure their voices are not just being heard, but are actually leading the way? That right there, that's the challenge for the future.